Welcome to One-Weighted Machines and the B7 Audi RS4 series. In this video, we begin a long-awaited series. This series is going to be called the Sticky Clutch Pedal series. I've mentioned it many times before, but when you're driving the car really hard, the clutch pedal wants to stick to the floor sometimes, which is pretty dangerous for destroying other components, and sometimes it's hard to put the car in gear. So let's see if this brake fluid changes it. I did read one post on a different forum, I think a UK one, from a while back, that someone said using DOT 5.1 helped because it changes the boiling point. But we'll not get ahead of ourselves. We will just do fresh, high quality DOT 4, and let's even see what color what comes out of there was, because there was also a recent thread where somebody said the fluid was really dark and dirty, but I can't remember if they had a sticky pedal or not. I don't think so. They were just doing it as routine maintenance for their brakes and their clutch fluid. So the brake fluid was done at a shop when I first got this car right away, and they actually didn't change the clutch fluid because of how difficult it was. And they just told me to go home. They were like, you know what, that's it. We'll just do the brake fluid, we'll drop the price a bit, and we don't care to do it. So I've been left with this problem for 2 years, and now it's finally time to start getting it sorted. And I'm not talking about some Billy Bob repair shop, okay? We're talking about an Audi specialist that has RS5s and stuff all inside of its shop. But yeah, they're a VW Audi shop that's been around for 25-30 years. So don't think I'm taking the car to just a random mechanic on the corner. So the wheel is a 17, and I've put it there as a safety. Do not ever slam these wheels, okay? These tires, 255s on the size rim that these cars come with, it's not like dropping a Honda tire, okay? You will damage the rim if you don't gently set it down. So the bleeder screw is a 9. Obviously use a high quality flare wrench, okay? That's some Snap-on. A lot of people would say Snap-on is crap, I don't know. But I bought that as a one-off in the classifieds, and it was kind of pricey. Even if you want to buy one, okay, you just be ready to cough up some money if you want to get a quality one of those. That has a 9 and an 11, and we're using the 9 side for this. I use that on other brake jobs too, so it's a good tool to have. Now, for the axle shield bolts, we'll go underneath and I'll show you in a minute. But any kind of hex attachments and stuff are not going to work. It's really tight in there. There's 3 H6s. And of course, when you come to work on your car, the only one missing of my longer hex sets is my H6. The Torx ones, I know where they are. I just didn't put them here because I don't care to glisten this up for the video. But my H6 is missing. So we're just going to use some of the US Imperial stuff that matches, because those are pretty big hex bolts. It shouldn't strip anything, but take your time, get an H6, find one, and you're going to have to feed in the long end for the top bolt, okay? I'll go underneath and show you guys right now what I'm talking about. So we're going to go in looking at the axle. So that axle boot needs to be changed. That's a different job for a different day. But you see the axle shield there? Look at the center of your screen. It's that piece that goes up and U's up. Okay, way back there. That piece has 3 hex bolts. Now I looked in there and you could easily mistake one of them for a Torx bolt, which is probably related to the axle or another component, because you guys know everything's sandwiched on these cars. So they are 3 H6s. The 2 at the side you can get with an Allen H6 pretty easy. The one at the top is going to be more difficult. I read of people bending it down, but it's very stiff. So you could really bend it down, but I don't know if you want to misshapen it and not get it back. So this is just in front of the rotor. That's the top of the axle over there. So you can go in from that little groove there. I don't know how to explain it, but if you see the axle shield there, try to get it. Okay, axle shield is about dead center of your screen above the axle boot. You can squeeze in maybe a bullnose hex, okay, in there, but that one's going to be really hard to get out. But you do need something really long with the hex in the end. I don't know what I'm going to end up doing, but I'll tell you guys what I do. Just be ready to look from different angles because that top H6 is going to be difficult to get out. A lot of people say they don't put the top one back because the 2 can hold it just fine, which does make sense. But I do have mine intact, so we'll get it out. I'll let you guys know what tools I use because the filming is kind of useless. Yeah, I don't know what people are on about using conventional Allens. Even on the easiest one at the front, the heat shield, being a German car, is clearly shaped in a way that it does not want to allow this to even get close to entering. So it's not that the hex I'm using is a wrong size, it just didn't want to go in. So maybe if that part is a bit longer on the one you use, you could get the bottom 2 out with the hex tool, but I'm going to have to resort to an H6 on a ratchet. Let's see if I'm able to do it. So this is the front of the car. You see the shiny chrome bit in the middle? You can't get that on with a ratchet, okay? You have to take the socket, the H6 socket, a short socket it is, off, reach in there with all your fingers, press it in, make sure it's into the hex, and then throw your ratchet on it. That's the only way I was able to do it. It's way too fiddly the other way. But an H6 got in there, and I'll let you guys know if the 3/8 ratchet I throw onto it, I'm able to get it off, or not. There was a thread recently where I had hoped RS4s had different subframes than S4s and A4s. But, I mean, look at the date stamp. It's 2007 and there's an S4 code on it. So, I could be guessing, but I don't like that sticker. Plus, a very experienced member said that these components are the same. And it's really only the steering servo and the wider wheels that set this car apart in terms of handling. But we'll make a whole other video on that. I just saw this sticker here and I thought I'd let you guys know. And the reason I stopped here is because my ratchet is kind of in there. I'm going to be able to get it in enough to be able to get it off, I think. But as soon as I touched it, I got a whole bunch of rust straight in my eye. So I'm going to grab my safety glasses. And it's going to be both my hands stuffed in there, making sure everything is nice and fit. And cracking it loose. It's not a film-worthy angle at all. So I'll update you guys. Okay, I hope you guys are with me. So there's our chrome bit at the top center of your screen. And at the bottom center of your screen here, you see this notch here? Okay, right here. So I had the 3/8 ratchet in there. No extensions, no nothing. Just directly on that short H6. And I was able to push it in and click it in. It had barely any range of motion. I had one chance to crack it loose, and it came onto the subframe a bit and slid into this little U-bolt place, and then my ratchet fell off. So it was partially in there, but all I'm saying is it's going to be very tight. Just make sure you have both your hands on there and on the back of the ratchet so you can at least get that initial crack loose. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go grab that bit in there, and I'm going to rotate it and hopefully we get it out. But just don't forget that you have this here, but it's going to be on a bit of an angle. So you'll figure it out. I just thought I'd tell you what's going on here. But I did crack it loose with just a normal 3/8 ratchet. Okay, so you guys see where I'm filming from? My right shoulder is on the ground right now, right with my head under almost the driver's side brake rotor. And from here, blindly, I reached in onto that short H6, and thumb and index finger, I just worked that whole bolt out. You can't have your head in there if you're working this low to the ground, okay? You guys know how high up my car is. So it was just a blind affair, fingers in there, and worked that first H6 out. Let's see how we do with the other two. And here's the H6 bit that I'm using just for those of you who want a visual. It's a very standard hardware store bit for a 3/8 ratchet. And yeah, Captain Safety over here, unless you want shards of rust in your eyes, use your safety glasses. You always find new things on this car. Look at some kind of a sweaty trans gasket there. Whatever, we'll have to deal with all these things in due time, but that doesn't look like an active leak and nothing drips, so I don't care. It could be old fluid or something from the top. Alright, back on focus. So we're at the trans area. Top left of your screen is the other H6. You can see the axis is decent for that one here. Just don't mistake it for any of the other bolts. Now, we're going to be doing this job without removing the downpipe bolts. I think it's showing one of them in screen there. Those exhaust studs are chewed up on mine. Somebody clearly tried to do something down here at some point. I don't know. Okay, but you want to stay away from needing to do the downpipe bolts, but that means you're going to have to be really careful and watch this video. And yeah, I don't know what's going on there, but this is completely, yeah, I touched that and it's not even oily. It's like almost as if it's like some kind of, I don't know, it's not wet, it's not oil, it's no concern. We'll clean this up too and we'll keep an eye on it, okay? But there's no active fluid leak at all from here. So I fit the H6 bit in there by hand. The only difference with this one is going to be I'm really going to have to pry the axle shield to get my 3/8 in there to do my initial crack loose. But it's going to work other than that. So even with squeezing it, the downpipes are in the way. I couldn't get a ratchet in there. Okay, the flange is in the way. So I usually like, you guys know, to use as DIY friendly tools as I can, but I'm going to have to go into a bit more advanced of a tool selection here. If you guys do have the H6 Allen, I really do think you could finish these two, okay? Use the bullnose end of it on the other one, or have a long extension with the bullnose to do the final bolt at the top for the axle shield. In terms of using Imperial stuff, none of them fit. The H5 is also too small. So I have a set of ProPoint mini impacts. So it's a 1/4 inch drive. I put on a 3/8 adapter. It's a number 6mm Allen hex. And I'm going to try this. If it doesn't work, I'm gonna put extensions and what do you call them? Universal joints. Okay, you could have maybe done it with the other one, but this is going to be easier. And for the one at the top, I'm just gonna shoot it with the 1-foot extension and we'll see if I can do it. Actually, scrap that, guys. You could use that tool if you want, but we're keeping it DIY friendly. That same H6 is in there, and you can easily bend the axle shield at this part of it. The top, maybe if I put a lot of force, I can do that too, but this bent easily, so I'm just gonna shoot in a 1 or 2 foot of extensions here, and we'll try to do it from there, from outside of the wheel. The car's wheel. So here's the top of the brake disc. I'm gonna go in here. There you can see the end where I'm gonna put my 3/8 ratchet, and that goes all the way in there. So I think it's about 2 feet of extensions. It won't break loose. What the? I think I got a bad angle here. Don't damage the brake lines when you're doing this. This should crack loose really easily. I have a camera in my way, so I have to do it from a stupid angle outside. Don't think it's going to be hard to get off. I'm just going to put a cheater bar on it so you guys can watch it break loose from this terrible angle I have. Jesus, what's happening? I hope it broke loose. Oh my God, did I break the bolt? What's even happening? Ugh. Oh, this is really weird. Maybe it's better if you do it way further in there so you have more control, because it made some noises, but then I guess I'll keep going with the cheater bar. Maybe it's really that tight in there that it needs it, because you guys heard those sounds. So we'll just keep going from out here. It should not be this tight. Okay, I'm taking you guys off camera. There's things in my way. So fortunately, now that I was able to get under there without the camera in my way, it's really tight. Okay, this one is really seized in there, but I did see it start moving. I was putting tremendous force to break it loose, and it still needs a lot more force to take it off. So just be ready for one of these to be pretty seized. Luckily, it moved and nothing is stripped yet, so I'm gonna get this off and I'll let you know how it goes. So what I was doing, if you do run into the same thing I did, was my face is, okay, my legs are, imagine, out from under the front of the car. My head is pointing backwards towards the back of the car. One hand is up there by the bolt, holding things to make sure it's all steady. And the other one is out here, moving with the breaker bar, the ratchet. And yeah, I mean, maybe I'll just put my mini breaker bar on here. But either way, you'll get it. Just be patient and make sure that all your extensions are straight and the hex does not slip out of the bolt, causing it to strip. Working with jack stand space is very annoying. If you have quick jacks, I think you're going to get the car up higher and it'll be easier. Now, that's what I used, okay? I had said that I had my hand up here, but that's very hard. You just got to make sure to keep an eye that that's straight into the bolt. And both my hands were in that area, way out here by the brake rotor. So just figure it out, be careful, because the brake line, okay, if your ratchet is anything like mine, is going to be millimeters from the input line. So you don't want to damage that. Now, that was a beast of a struggle I wasn't expecting. Obviously, I didn't have it all on film there, but there was sand and corrosion constantly dropping on every turn of that bolt. And obviously, I kicked it because I was tired, but there was a ton of corrosion. That's the one we just took out. This was the one that was at the front. So, welcome to working on old cars. One bolt from the same car will look like this. The other one will be completely seized in with tons of corrosion and sand and crap falling in your face. Well, not in your face, but on the ground. So now what we're going to do is we're going to try to feed in the same extension. I'm not going to do anything else. Like I said, I was able to bend the shield decently enough to get that one in. And you can bend that shield back. Relax, it's like a joke, okay? That shield. So I'm going to bend the shield at the very top where it U's over, down. We're going to feed in that. And we're going to see if we can crack that top 6mm loose. And there's the two bolts from another angle so that you can see why it took the extra force for me to crack loose that one on the right. And plus, having all those extensions weakens you on the outside. And like I said, be careful that does not slide if you end up in a case with a bolt that's rusted to the hub. I don't know what it's touching like that. Okay, let's get on to the top one. Don't mind the state of my beautiful brakes, but this is a classic DIY. What you forget is that for all of these things, even for what I was doing back there with the extensions, although it wouldn't have made a difference in this case, you can turn the wheel to the right or the left so that you have a bit more space on the side that you're working on. So it didn't make a difference for that one. But now, to get way inside there where I'm trying to pry down the... You can't even see it from here. Oh my god, okay, screw that. I should turn the wheel towards myself right now to give myself better access. But I'm just going to reach in there, fold it down, throw my stuff in there, okay? So if you really do need the extra space, then turn the wheel carefully to the left and stick your head in from the front. Reach in there because the axle shield that's way in there is easier to bend down from the front than it is from the back. It's way more tied up against the unibody towards the back there. Okay, so we're going in from this angle here. And scrap what I just said over there. The front, there's a level sensor. There's all kinds of crap. You can't get your hand in there, okay? So you're going to have to bring your hand in from the back here. And you could pry it down with your fingers really hard, but I'm going to have to pry with a pry bar or a screwdriver to deform that axle shield, okay? Because it's just not working by hand. There's just not enough room for me to get my hand in there. So I'm going to use a pry bar, get it down. And like I said, there are some Torx bolts up there. Don't mistake those for your bolt, but it's almost invisible right now. I did get a peek at it once at some point, but I couldn't this time from the front. So I'm going to pry that axle shield right at the top downwards, and we'll see if we can see our bolt. But you guys probably won't get a filming angle for it. We'll see. Okay, guys, so there's lots of lines and brake lines and stuff in the way, so this is a very careful thing, okay? So I have a normal pry bar, and I'm just prying down on it like this against the body, okay? My pry bar is facing upwards in there, though, okay? It's not the other way around. That's the only way that seems to work. But just be very careful not to damage anything while you do your prying this way up there. So you see there at the top center of your screen, I don't know if those are brake or DRC lines, but your pry bar is going to be really close to those, so be careful. Put your hand in between there. But look what happened, guys. That shield was so brittle, you can't really see it, but you see that chunk of silver there? Look at that chunk there. That just broke off with my pry bar. It didn't even bend it down. It was so brittle and aged. I don't know where the piece went, but again, this is another notion of wear safety glasses. That piece of metal shard, if it would have shot into your face, dangerous. So I'm going to keep prying it, but I didn't think it would break like that. Well, there you have it. A second chunk broke off. So I'm abandoning now the prying method. If it broke with a pry bar going gently, there's no way you would have gotten that by hand, okay? So I'm going to have to try to find a route to get into that top bolt, but breaking off more pieces is not what I want to do, so we'll just leave it at that. While the steering wheel does turn a little bit further to the right there, it bounces back at the end because it's in the air. That's like terrible in terms of how much steering angle helps, so that doesn't help at all in any situation, I'll say. The one thing that was really kind of lucky interesting was as I turned the wheel, I heard a creaking sound. A series that I haven't finished in a long time is the creaking from front suspension at low speed over bumps. So this could be a breakthrough in that it strut top mounts, because that's the only thing that could really make that much noise. But while it's in the air, I'm going to start continuing that series 2 possibly. So stay tuned for that. Well, turning the wheel this way and poking my head in from behind the brake caliper did not help, so let me turn it the other way and stick my head in from the front of the brake disc and see if I have a better sight line. We're looking for that top bolt, okay, on the axle shield. That's all that's left. So with the wheels fully in the air, that final turn of the steering wheel to full lock, it just throws the steering wheel back almost a turn. It won't stay. So the final angle that it gives you is pathetic and almost not even better than what you started with. That's just what it does. So yeah, let's see if it helps a bit. So this helped just a bit. We'll keep it, but it's almost no help at all. That bolt is impossible to see, okay? And the frame of the car in there, I don't even care to get in there, okay? You guys can't even see it. I can't fit my camera in there. I'm not talking about that unibody part you see at the top of your screen. Way in there, there's more unibody. They've left 0 entry point, okay? So you literally, and see with the 2 bolts out, here's the advantage. With those 2 bolts out, you can rotate the stupid axle shield on the 1 bolt that's left. Now what you have to do, the only way I can see, because like you saw, it breaks when you try to bend it. You have to bend it to the back a bit. And then from the front, we're going to have to put a universal joint somehow and get it onto the bolt. Because if you go underneath the car, you will see the body bracket portion where the bolt runs through. You can't see the bolt, but you can see where the bolt would be. Hopefully you guys can figure that out when you go down there. But when you come out here again, you're going to have to come outside and blindly feed it in. Okay? That's the only thing that could happen, because you can't see the bolt. I'm not going to get angry. Forget the not being able to see it part. They've left no access for your tool to even go in there. So forget seeing it. It's nearly impossible. I can't believe that people say that they remove and put this thing back somehow. You probably just have to cut it off or rip it off, but we'll see what we do with my level of patience for this BS. Okay, this is a wild one. So an Allen's number 6 is what I should be waiting for, but obviously I'm not going to wait for it. So we're going to use the Craftsman 1/4 inch with a hex bit to a 1/4 inch to my small 6mm, because it is completely blind under there. Here's the tool assembled. I'm just going to feel back there, and I'm probably going to be able to get it out. I'm going to do my best to show you guys how I did it. Yeah, you just have to reach in from the front. Okay, I'll go down there and show you, but okay, I'll show you how I was facing at least, okay? I'm underneath the car, imagine. And then my hand goes straight up in the front, and I put the hex socket. Okay, I'm filming the garage. Let me go underneath. Okay guys, so let's get something out of the way about the heat shield I cracked. It's 2 pieces, so the reason you're able to fold it down when you're doing that bolt over there is because it's flimsy there. This inside part is very hard metal. You can't bend it without breaking it. Okay? So I'm going to do my best so you guys don't lose your reference point there. Yeah, you already lost it, but okay, and the light. But what I did is you're gonna come in from here like this, okay, with your hand. My hand is facing the steering wheel. I have to use the camera here, okay, or else I would be right here. My body would be under here. You can see how the back of my glove is dirty? That's because I went like this above the axle shield with my hand, straight like that. You're gonna U it up. You're gonna feel where the bolt is, and I put my hex for the ratchet, the DIY friendly one we've been using, and that was to no avail, okay? Impossible to get a 3/8 ratchet in that area and put it and move it. You can't even put it onto the end. That's why we're gonna do that ratchet contraption I did. But for those of you that don't have that tool, I would definitely say with an H6 Allen key, short, long, whatever, you just have to put your hand in there blind, feel with your bare hand or nitrile gloves where the hex screw is, get it in there, and hope that you have the strength and it's not corroded to get rid of it. So now I'm going to use that Craftsman 1/4 inch setup and we'll see what happens. But if I can keep it in the same shot, I'll try to get out my... Let's see if I can knock it out just so you guys can see. Son of a bitch, man. No, see, my hand's supposed to go in this way. Screw this, okay? You guys get the concept? You're going in like this, okay? I can't go with this dumbass camera on my way to get that out. But I'm going to get it out. I'm going to do it, do the job, and I'll tell you if I get the bolt out with the Craftsman 1/4 inch setup. Okay, guys. Okay. Where on earth are we looking? You see my arm there? I finally, after 5 minutes, I put the whole tool in there, okay? With the 6mm that I showed you, the 1/4 inch Craftsman, and you just have to feel and feel and feel until you get it on there. An Allen key would be better because this is better because it's ratcheting, but then you have to re-ratchet it if you get it on wrong. Very difficult to put in. But I just want you guys to see where my body is positioned so that you don't do something silly. See, that's the exhaust there. My head is right under the trans mount if the camera is capturing it. I cannot see shit. So, this is working, but man, that's a bolt from hell. Okay, so be ready for that one to really, really make it difficult for you. The main point, see it's starting to move. I wanted to say is be ready to have Godzilla finger strength to break that one loose. I got lucky it wasn't that bad, but if it was as seized as the other one, whoo, this would be a real gem of a job. But it's working. I'm being careful. I'll show you once I get it all out. Okay, so I'm just going to film the bike so it's a bit cinematic for YouTube, but maybe I do need a lift so people actually watch. You guys won't believe what happened, which is why maybe an Allen key will drive you to freaking hell too, because you'd have to pull it out and reposition it, and every time it'll take you 5 minutes. I got it about a whole bunch of threads and finally it slipped, my tool. So I was like, okay, let me reach in there with my hand and do the rest of the threads out. And because you're down here and you're misoriented, I started tightening it again. So now I have to get in there, put the hex in with the 1/4 inch Craftsman and get it off again. Be ready to have a lot of patience for this bolt. And I don't know, maybe I got to get a lift in a proper shop because I don't think people are going to watch these videos. But these are the most helpful videos that I'm making, so whatever. I finally got it out. Oh my god, that's the most difficult bolt on this car so far that I've dealt with. It's literally you're using your fingertips on this tool to get that off. The one thing that took me a very long time though, and I'm going to tell you this trick, you're going to keep turning it and you're going to think that why isn't it coming out the rest of the way. Grab the heat shield with your other hand once you've done a decent amount of threads and keep tension on the bolt, okay, while your other hand is blind up there ratcheting on it, okay? This puts enough tension on the bolt to help it come out those last few threads because for some reason it just wasn't if I didn't put tension on the heat shield. So the very end, pull the heat shield out, you should be fine. But whoo, be ready to really scratch your hands up on this one. So now after all this time that the heat shield's loose, I have to figure out how to get it out. So I'm going to try rolling it. I'll let you guys know what I end up doing. Okay, I put the camera on a tripod. Let's do it together. Okay, so we probably didn't even have to remove it the whole way, but I did. Now you can see how there's that third bolt at the top there, and the pieces that I broke off when, and you can see here, there you can see what I was talking about. The malleability is this piece here. This piece up here is too hard and it'll break, okay? So when people say they folded stuff out of the way, it was just on this side only, actually, on this side only, that you can fold it. This side, it's all really hard. But this is the side at the front where you have to reach your hand in from the front like that when I was under there ranting and get up to this top bolt there. So even with an Allen key, it's going to need to be shorter actually than the stuff that I showed you if you do it. But if you can do it with something ratcheting and make sure you're not tightening the bolt, and it's minuscule, like 1 click, 2 clicks, and then move the bolt a bit. So there's your visual. Let's keep moving on. So this is where you're going to stick your hands in. And on a tip from a forum member, stick your head towards the driver's side wheel with your legs out towards the passenger side wheel. And you're just going to have to reach in here and be able to crack it loose and blindly be good enough at bleeding systems to be able to do this one. Now I'll try to show you. A lot of people will show it to you with a bleeder screw, but mine still has the original plastic cap on it, which is why I had a bit of trouble finding it. It's almost impossible to see as a human. To get it on camera, it's even crazier, but I'll try to get in there. Okay, so the instructions of putting your arm in are there. So with my lovely destroyed, non-focusing, destroyed axle boot and non-focusing camera, I cannot get you an angle with my camera. I might be able to with my smartphone and a flashlight, but dude, if you're doing this job, you know what a slave cylinder looks like and you know what a bleed nipple looks like, and it's in there above the exhaust. So I'm done trying to find angles. It's in there. Let's see what color fluid comes out once I throw my 9mm on it. In an aggravated rant where I want to throw this car in the garbage, get quick jacks, people, or have a lift, because that brake rotor keeps hitting me in the face every time I go under there, even though this is the highest I can lift it with the tools that I have. This is just borderline space, okay? Do it. I mean, I'm going to do it. If you're in a garage, you don't have the means, you have to do it. But that brake disc is going to piss you off. Even in this position, it's still low to the ground. Raise the car more if you can is the moral of the story here, but I'm going to find that damn clutch bleeder, which I know where it is. It's there. I've seen it. Okay, I'll continue. You see, here's the thing that happens. You go under there. From in here, there's an angle. You can see it. You could take a picture of it. You could put a laser pointer on it. You can find it from here. But when you want to do the work, you have to go from underneath and you lose all your side angles because of what a cluster F this car is down there. So I can't give any pointers as to how to do this best or better, but oh my god, like this is driving me mad right now. Just trying to locate it, put my hand on it for one time before I even put a wrench in there or take the cap off. Okay, more joys. I don't even know if that's a cap or not anymore that's on there. It could just be covered in oil grime. It could be a cap, but I have to reach in there and hope that it's that one, because you reach. Once you go for it, you have to reach. So I'm either going to go in there with a 9mm wrench or my hand, and let's hope I don't F this up. Okay, so I am actually doing it differently than the way the person on the forum did. I'm reaching in from the front of the axle with the back of my hand to get the cap off of the bleeder for now. I can't show you guys this underneath there, okay? So I'm going in from, instead of going between the downpipes and the axle, I'm going between the axle and whatever the hell is in front of it, and I'm rolling the back of my hand onto the axle, and then I'm reaching in there trying to pull the cap off first. How I continue doing it, I might end up actually bleeding it like the person from the forums did in what I just mentioned there. But once we get to that point, okay, for now I'm just trying to get the cap off, and it's too tight to get off with my fingers. I can't get my fingers on it. So I'm just going to grab some needle nose pliers, and hopefully I can, without damaging the cap on the bleeder screw, I'm going to take it off. But this might be a good sign, because if it has its original Audi cap on the bleeder screw and it has oil and grime and whatnot on it, this means that this car's clutch might never have been touched in its life. Or it means it was done at a proper shop and they actually put the cap back on. But with the difficulty of doing this, I can imagine a lot of indie shops would just be like, yo, just the fact that we bled the clutch for you and did a clutch job for you, have a nice day, bud. And there's going to be a new owner with this car in a year from now. So, okay, I'm just making some stuff up, talking some smack there. But let me try to get that cap off. And the way I just told you, it's rolling my hand over the front of the axle at the front of the car. And let's see if that works for getting the cap off of the bleeder. Your car very well may not have any cap on it, okay? So in the initial stages, it's way in there somewhere, okay? I'm laying with my feet way to the front of the car and lifting my neck up. You're going to strain your neck muscles if you have a weak neck. But I'm looking in there from here and I'm reaching my hand in with my tools to orient my tool. Then once you've got your tool, say, on the bleeder nipple, okay, let's not get to cracking it loose. I'm probably going to do that differently. But to get the cap off right now, I'm orienting, grabbing it with my tool from out here by looking up and stressing my neck with my hand going in from in front of the axle. And then when I actually come to pull it off, then I drop my neck, I move in under the car a bit, and then you hopes and dreams take off the cap. We'll get to the bleeder after we get the cap off. Okay, I tried my hand in every single possible angle. Every tool you could imagine, from picks to screwdrivers to pliers to whatever. The angles just aren't there. And I think bleeding it is going to be easier, but getting the cap off that's been on there for years, those caps usually click onto the nipple. I tried every position on my hand from every entrance point and I couldn't do it. And the craziest part is you think, okay, I can still see the threads for the actual bleeder, but the flare wrench will not cross over the cap. The cap is too thick, the plastic cap. I could put a normal 9mm on it, but you break that bleeder and you're done, okay? You only use flare wrenches in sensitive components like this. So don't jump to a 9mm normal wrench. We got to figure this out and we'll continue. You don't ever want to remove that bleeder completely with the engine in the car. You just crack in it to bleed it. Even if you want to drain it, don't remove the bolt, because putting that bolt back, maybe you can do it. But you don't want to be that person. So let it just drain nice and slow. Forget about putting a tube on there. Just let it drain into a pan. For me, it'll probably be the floor. So I remembered my ice fishing bucket. I had taken 2 of my pliers. We might have a chance with these. So I have now successfully failed at using any of these tools to pry off the plastic bleeder cap. No damage has been done to anything. I'll have to figure this out and come back to it.